Robert just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. So Robert Mueller died today after a long life. He lived to be 81 years old. You try not to speak ill of the dead, but you know what? You got to be able to judge people by their actions in life. And so don't take any of this personally. Robert Mueller was not a great dude, and not for the reasons that you think. I mean, obviously, the Russiagate collusion scandal that blew up in Democrats' faces, this was a clear op that was run by Robert Mueller. It eventually exonerated President Trump after spending 30-some-odd million dollars on nothing. But I want to focus on something else. Now, that Robert Mueller was in charge of the FBI during September 11th, totally missed and or covered up everything that was going on there. And then he was in charge of the FBI when Jeffrey Epstein was able to skate and walk. As we have said time and time again on this channel, the true villains in the Jeffrey Epstein saga are the people. George W. Bush is one of them. Benny, you will never criticize a Republican. Yeah, right. George W. Bush. Dude, bring in Bush, bring in Obama. They were the ones who were president while Epstein was in full operations mode. George W. Bush and Robert Mueller, who died today, he was in charge of the FBI. You can see here, September 4th. September 4th. So he was signed into office of the FBI days before September 11th, 5 days before September 11th. Goodness gracious. He served until 2013, right, into Obama's term. The first year of Obama's term, it looks like. And these are the years when Jeffrey Epstein was nabbed up for underage sex trafficking with dozens, if not hundreds, of young women in Florida. They had them dead to rights. This was the feds, and this was the FBI. They were the ones that had all the information. They were given all the information. It's Robert Mueller who is part of, I'm not saying it's just him, but part of a cabal that covered up Jeffrey Epstein. We should never even be talking about Jeffrey Epstein. I hate to make everything about Jeffrey Epstein, but since this is so much of what our national dialogue has been about over the last 6 months, we shouldn't be talking about him. If he was properly charged in the year 2006 to 2008, we would have never heard his name ever again. He would have just been another dirtbag, scumbag that was serving prison for life because he had so many charges. Instead, guys like Robert Mueller let him off the hook. People like Robert Mueller were part of the system that totally let this guy skate and released Jeffrey Epstein back out onto the streets in order to be, a CIA operative or whatever he was, Mossad operative. So anyway, that's why I don't like Robert Mueller. Donald Trump doesn't like Robert Mueller for obvious other reasons. Robert Mueller tortured his first administration. You could argue that President Trump probably deserves to run again because he was so kneecapped by the Russiagate scandal and the Robert Mueller investigation in the first term. Yeah, and maybe they deserve a second, and a third term because of that. Anyway, here we go. Robert Mueller dies. Donald Trump fumes. I'm glad he's dead. Woo, baby. What does Trump say? Here we go. Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Donald Trump. Robert Mueller. Go talk with the people. Go talk with people who worked in Trump term 1. Some of them are in Trump term 2. I know so many of them very, very well. This was torture for them. They were tortured in all of this. This completely and totally kneecapped the first administration and enraged and destroyed so many careers. The Robert Mueller investigation for nothing. It was for absolutely nothing. Not again, Robert Mueller admitted on.
You did a lot of work, correct?
Yes, that I agree.
A lot of subpoenas, a lot of pen registers.
A lot of subpoenas. Yes.
Okay, we'll walk this really slow if we need to.
A lot of search warrants.
All right, a lot of search warrants, a lot of things. So you're very thorough. In your opinion, very thorough. You listed this out in your report, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Here we go. This is the congressional hearing.
Is it true, the evidence gathered during your investigation, given the questions that you have just answered, is it true the evidence gathered during your investigation did not establish that the president was involved in the underlying crime related to Russian election interference as stated in Volume 1, page 7?
We found insufficient evidence of the president's culpability.
So that would be a yes.
Pardon?
That would be a yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Isn't it true the evidence did not establish that the president or those close to him were involved in the charged Russian computer hacking or active measure conspiracies, or that the president otherwise had unlawful relationships with any Russian official. Volume 2, page 76. Correct?
All fake.
I leave the answer to the our report.
The report was everything was a lie. All of it was a lie. Robert Mueller dragged this out for years. That was the goal. That was the op in order to destroy President Trump, in order to have this giant cloud and this massive investigation. This was the op. Anyway, Mueller died from unknown circumstances. His family told the New York Times. With sadness, Bob passed away last night. His family, privacy is respected. Donald Trump, Mueller's passing. Good, I'm glad he's dead. Trump disliked Mueller since the latter was charged in the investigation, put in charge of the investigation of Russian meddling. Trump labeled it a witch hunt. It was. Mueller's team had not charged Trump for collusion, said they could not exonerate him either. Yeah, right. Okay. Trump has every right to be pissed off at this guy. Trump said it's total BS at the time. His death comes after the family told the Times in September that he had Parkinson's disease. It's a tough one, right? The revelation came after the Oversight Committee had requested that Mueller appear to testify in the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. What'd I tell you? That's right. So anyway, Mueller could not and did not find any Russian collusion. Trump's scathing reaction, pissing off libs, but whatever. Robert Mueller died. I didn't know that. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. Trump was innocent of the Russia collusion hoax. Trump was totally innocent. He was exonerated by Robert Mueller himself at the famous press conference at the DOJ, where he said, no, we couldn't find any Russian collusion. They still tried to smear and slander him. $35 million wasted. Mueller claimed he had no idea who Fusion GPS was. He wasn't lying. He held the Trump presidency hostage for years. He didn't investigate the actual Russian collusion, which was Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton literally worked with the Russians in order to pay for. Hillary Clinton worked with Fusion GPS, which paid Russian spies. Christopher Steele paid Russian spies. Hillary Clinton paid Russian spies. That's a bona fide fact. That's a matter of historic record. Hillary Clinton is the one who engaged in Russian collusion. Robert Mueller has died. Mueller's statement into Russian interference in the 2016 campaign, he said, I got nothing. Donald Trump has so many bangers, though, on Robert Mueller. Back when Trump used to post on X all the time and money spent, turns out that Mueller was investigating a total scam. This is what happens when someone who's loyally gets appointed Attorney General of the United States and doesn't have the wisdom or courage to stand down. That's right. This is about Jeff Sessions. Remember that nightmare. Is James Comey and his band of dirty cops going to apologize to Michael Flynn and many others? What about Robert Mueller and his angry Democrat cronies? Just banger after banger. Trump's Mueller meltdown. Even Michael Moore agrees that Democrats and Mueller blew it. All right. I'll just never forgive them for what they did with Epstein. We should never, ever been able to, never had to talk about the guy ever again. It annoys me, honestly. The guy should have rotted and died in prison. And I guess he did die in prison, but it should have been like a 50-year, it should have been a lifetime sentence, right? Anyway, it was Robert Mueller who was in charge. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.